What's up everyone, Josh here and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing a tone lab video featuring Amp Locker from Audio Assault. Check out the link in the description. You can get the base version of this program totally free, and you'll notice on their website they have a ton of awesome options to expand and add to your collection in Amp Locker and really make it the ultimate guitar playground, so check it out. On today's video we're going to focus on dialing in a fun, loud, unapologetic rock tone, straight up rock tone. And I've been listening like crazy to bands like Guns N' Roses, Dokken, Hardline, a lot of Accept lately, so that's kind of where my brain has been. I'll show you how I like to get there using Amp Locker, and of course this is just my take on it. Take from it what you will. So first and foremost is the amp choice, and for this I'm thinking JCM800 Marshall-y style sound, right? Well, the good news for us is in the Preamp 2 collection they have an amp inspired by the legendary JCM800 called British Gain. So here's what it sounds like at noon, nothing done to it. So you can already hear the skeleton of where we're going on this. It's got a nice raspy British sound to it. Some people might even say, hey, that sounds pretty darn good to me, you know, kind of a classic rock tone. And if that's what you're after, then all you got to do is turn it on and you're good to go. But we're going to take it a little further than that. First things first on this, these EQs are not super sensitive. We do not have to be surgeon perfect with them. They're kind of broad strokes rock and roll. Just put them about where you think they should be and they're going to sound about right. So I like to actually kind of crank the EQ options and then dial back as needed with the JCM800 style amps here. And listen to the tone we get just doing that. So all we really did there was kind of bring the amp to life a little bit. Where we're going to take it to the next level is with this preamp control, which is like our gain control. I like to have this about between 8 and 9, and let's hear how that sounds. So you can hear now we're getting a little more aggressive, a little more lively. This is where I'll start to pull back a little bit on my EQ settings. So the treble I'll probably have right about there. The mids I want to keep high, but not too high. I like the mid forwardness of this amp. And then to clean it up, I'll take the bass down a little bit and leave the presence where it is. And I think that sounds pretty good. A good serviceable rhythm tone for rock stuff, or if you want to do some power metal type stuff. So I think that's a nice serviceable tone, a great starting point, and that's why I like to dial in the amp first to make sure I'm happy with it before we start doing other stuff. Let's move on to the cabinet section now. And I've got two in mind that I think are going to get us where we want to be. The first one is the Mr. Shaw G&R cab, and you could probably guess what G&R stands for. That's right. So this is a 4x12 cab. It's got the G12s in it. We're going to use a Dynamic 57, and this is how this one sounds. So you can hear that we're kind of getting into that way Marshall-y type sound, big, wide open, rock and roll stuff. And then for the other cab that we're going to blend with it, I want something that's going to give us a little more push and a little more beef. So I'm going to go with the HVT Thick B412 here. This is another pack available from them that you can see on the website. And these are mixed with low end and crunch in mind. This has Eminence speakers in it, I believe. So I'm going to use a condenser mic, and let's hear how this one sounds. So you can hear a different character, but a lot of good low end, a lot of crunch. With them together, this is what we have. So we're in pretty good shape with that combination. I like that one. Let's talk about getting this thing augmented even more. So on the front end here, we've got 5 slots to choose from for stomps. The first stomp I'm going to put in is a chorus pedal. And Audio Assault has this really awesome Boss chorus type clone. And I've got the E level down pretty good and the depth not too crazy. Here's what it sounds like without it. And then with it, we have this. So a subtle effect, which is good, but there is something definitely being added. Now, I like to keep the chorus pedal before the drives. You can move these anywhere you want, but I like it in front to keep it subtle. Let's talk about a boost. Let's go old school with our screamer type pedal, and it's set up just how I like it with the level up and the overdrive at about 9 o'clock and the tone up just a hair. This is where we're going to start getting serious. So now we're kind of more along the rock and metal tones that we came here for. And one thing I want to show you is I like the pedal where it's at, but if I want to tighten that up a little bit, I'm actually going to use the preamp control on the amp to help me do that instead of messing with the pedal. So I put this down a little bit. Listen to how much this tightens it up. Pretty darn cool. So use the preamp control to help kind of loosen it up and, let it go wild, or to tighten it up a little bit and tame it. And I think you'll be happy with what you hear. Okay, other options on the front. Let's say we want something a little fatter, a little more modern. The KLOTZ pedal pack available from their website has this overdrive in it that I love. And how I like to set this one up is with the bass boosted a touch, the volume up, the gain down a touch, and the tightness up. And that gives us more of this kind of sound. Pretty darn cool. So different characters, and what's nice is I can have both of these on the board and just turn one off and the other off, or whatever I want to do. So let's stick with the screamer for now while we go to the post end. Now on the back end, I like to have reverb with the decay about there, the size not quite halfway, and then the dry and wet here is where you're really gonna tell it how much of that signal you want in there. So without it, we have this. Very dry, very, very tight. Check it out with the reverb on. So it just gives it a little bit of life at the end, which I think is important for that 80s style stuff, Just a little bit of slap, right? So that's an important part of this tone. And then next, let's say you want a little bit of delay in there. Typically on rhythm tones, you're not going to be using delay, but I'll show you if you really want to take it over the top. Dial in your delay to about 400 or so. The feedback you want down, and then the dry and wet you want to make sure is down a little bit ways. That way when you're playing stuff, it's not crowding the mix, it's just adding a little bit to it when there's gaps like this. So just a little something there. It's not quite as crazy as we'd have for our lead stuff, but it gives you just a little bit of life at the end of that tone, and I think that's really important for tones like this. So that's kind of my philosophy on getting a nice rhythm tone, rock tone out of the British gain here, using our pedals, using our cabs, and using the post effects to help give it a little bit of life. I'm going to switch guitars and then we'll talk about some lead stuff and then we'll wrap it up. All right, we got a different guitar here. We're going to talk about some lead stuff. So all I did on the amp was turn up the preamp knob a little bit to give it some extra saturation. On the front end, we're using the KLOTZ pedal instead of the screamer for the fatness and the EQ control. And then on the back end, I've got the delay dialed in the way that I like it. Let's hear how this one sounds. So that is a nice lead tone, whether you're playing high stuff or if you're down here a little bit. So you can have a lot of fun with this, of course, and dial things in to taste, try different things, experiment with it. This is just what I like to do, and I find it to work out pretty darn well. Lots of fun. So anyway, guys, those are just, that's a way that I dial in my rhythm stuff and a way that I dial in my lead stuff. Pretty fun once you get in here with Amp Locker and try all the different things that they have available. Again, the stuff is super affordable. It's worth it to go check out the website, take a look at what they've got going on. They've always got something new coming out, so I am really excited to support a company like Audio Assault. Anyway, let me know if there's any other amps in this huge collection that you want to see dialed in. I'll have my own list, but I want to hear from you and what you're into, or if there's anything else you want to see on the channel. Get at me in the comments, let me know what's up. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you guys on the next video.